Duality skills. What is duality? How did it begin? What is duality like? And what are the problems with duality? And what's the solution? Duality began with the Big Bang. Before the Big Bang, there was only space. And after the Big Bang, there were space and stardust. The tremendous energy of the explosion, E equals mc squared, created the stardust. As the stardust gravitated to form planets, two governing principles of our universe also emerged: the laws of entropy and the laws of syntropy. Entropy says everything in creation is degrading towards formlessness, and syntropy is an increase in structure based on a goal. Whether it's a tree, a person, or a planet, if it is growing faster than it is decaying, then we have syntropy dominating over entropy. We respect entropy by not dwelling on the past because it is dead. And we take advantage of syntropy by setting lofty goals which will increase our capability. What is duality like? If you look at everything in creation, let's say this wallet here, right? It's soft, the softness, the hardest and the softest, color black versus white, small versus big, fast, slow, thick, thin, strong, weak, black, white, bright, dark, wet, dry. There are 2 points. Duality is marked by 2 extreme endpoints connected by continuums. And the continuums are filled. For example, from the tallest tree to the shortest tree on Earth, you have trees of varying heights in between the 2 extreme endpoints. And same thing with the fastest swimming fish versus the slowest swimming fish in the ocean. There's 2 extreme endpoints, and there are fish swimming at various speeds in between. Out of this, we have the overarching operative principle of diversity. The continuums are filled. That means there are variations. It takes all kinds. One size does not fit all. So diversity is a guiding principle, operative principle of duality. What's the problem? There is no problem with duality. There is problem with humanity, the ego. Because human beings living their individual bodies, they have a localized existence. Only they know how they feel inside their skin. And in that, we live in personal cultures inculcated in our brain from childhood, from birth. We tend to prefer specific points on specific continuums at specific times. And when we insist on specific points on specific continuums to be the truth, and we impose that on somebody else, we have a conflict. The nature of creation is based on diversity. The nature of the ego is based on specificity. And when the ego insists that certain points are the ultimate truth for everybody, for example, if it's not this way, then it is wrong. Some people go as far as my way or highway, which result in divorces, in breakdown of relationships. How can we resolve this problem? The solution is, one solution are the unity principles, and here are 3. 1, any problem is a lack of skills. When there's a problem, that means where somebody is versus where that person would rather be, there's a gap. So the task at hand is to close the gap. But the common tendency for human fight and flight behavior is to attack and present a problem of our own. So rather than closing the gap, which created the first problem, now we have duality squared. Now we have two gaps. And as people get excited, they get carried away, the number of gaps will increase, and the number of points, like, why did you say that? How come you did that? How about this and how about that? And this and this and then that. Then we ended up in a fight. Therefore, when somebody is presenting their problem, do not present yours. The goal is to minimize the number of points which people are arguing over. Actually, when somebody presents a problem, if you don't acknowledge it, sometimes that allows the person to express the emotion, and the point is really not established. That works in many cases, not always. So the second unity principle is any problem is a lack of skills. When somebody says they have a problem, that means they are unable to solve certain things. They don't know how. If we can correctly identify what are the missing skills, then we can bring that missing skill to bear and close the gap. Any problem is a lack of skills. It takes repeated conditioning to get such automatic reflexes programmed in. For example, when my family, my wife or my daughter say, if they make a mistake, my habitual response is, why did you do that? Right? So they have a problem, they did something and the result did not come out good. And then I question, why did they do it? So now there are two gaps. Rather than saying that, I should be saying, can I help you? What can we do to recover from this? So we close the gap. Any problem is lack of skills. And the third unity principle is never present your problem, but to unilaterally implement a solution as far as you can without imposing on the other person. This is not talking about taking independent action in an interdependent relationship. We can go from dependence to independence, from independence to interdependence. So I'm talking about unilaterally connect to the relationship in such a way that you can accomplish the goal interdependently. This is somewhat abstract, so I'm summarizing lots of principles in a small package as an overview. However, duality skills are much easier theorized than acquired because the reptilian brain is designed to respond faster than the prefrontal cortex. So the fight and flight responses from the limbic system take over before a person has the opportunity to apply duality skills. That is why it is necessary to continually, consistently, persistently reprogram one's automatic reflexes with duality skills. Because first of all, it is against our biological, physiological programming. We are built to go into fight and flight and freeze. And on top of it, the mirror neurons in our brain condition us to fight and argue as we see how people behave. That's a big topic by itself. They are common dualistic habits which are non-value added. Not only do they waste time, they can ruin one's personal emotional life and destroy key relationships. So here are the 10 reminders. The first reminder is don't argue over where somebody else's point is on any continuum. And don't argue about where my point was or is on any continuum with anybody else. So arguments like, I said, but you said, but I thought, how come you did that? How come they did this? But I did this because you did that. None of that. First of all, that's entropy. Second of all, it's a complete waste of time, because when you exchange blows, you are increasing the number of gaps, and the final result is there will be a winner and there will be a loser, and usually both people get hurt in the process. And that's not how we achieve harmony and peace in relationships, by beating somebody else up. Duality reminder number 2. Don't guess where is their point, or if this is her or his point. When we spend too much time engrossed in somebody else's points on specific continuums, that means we are helpless. That means we are spending time looking at something which we have no control over. That means we are victims. And while we are spending time doing that, we are not increasing our own skills. So focusing on the circle of concern rather than focusing on the circle of influence weakens you, makes you lose time, and not a good thing to do. Duality habit number 3. Don't guess, why did they choose this point? Why did they choose this point? There's place for good, open dialogue, communication, if it's possible. If it's not possible, don't spend time guessing why this, why not that, because you can never get to know to the truth. And even when you ask somebody, I would tell my spouse or my wife and whoever, they don't believe me anyways. So let it be. Whatever has happened is entropy, is past. Do not fight over dualistic points. Point number 4, reminder number 4. Do not assign meaning. Do not project intentions. Do not guess at the motives of why other people did certain things. Once again, it's good to ask if you want to. However, do not spend time guessing about it. Point number 5. Do not have wishful thinking. I wish their point was here, and I wish my point was this. I wish we haven't done that. I wish who had done what. Wishful thinking doesn't do anything. It's good to have an intention for the future according to the law of syntropy, but do not waste time being wishful about certain things. Point number 6. Do not fixate. Reminder number 6. Do not fixate on anything about the past, present, or the future. Any specific points. Visualization, setting goals are very good things, but do not spend time fixating on who said what, how come they did this, how come they insulted me. And that's how I can imprison myself by my negative interpretation. Even if I'm guessing somebody did certain things, as I fixate on it, my negative emotion is going to intensify to the point where I can hate somebody based on something that I speculated, which is completely untrue. Point number 7, do not reject any points on the continuum. Respect the law of diversity. Unconditionally accept that all points on all continuums are all acceptable, in that they do exist. You may not like it. They may be completely wrong. They may be unbelievable, but we need to not have an emotional reaction and have a cow, but be able to handle it. Respect the law of diversity. Point number 8, build duality ramps. Do not push people off their points. Do not off-balance people. Build duality ramps for people to step on and step off. So allow them to transition from their position to wherever you want them to go. Duality reminder number 9, don't posture to be bigger, better, stronger, more handsome, more important, more accepted than somebody else. Because if they accepted such position, then they have compromised themselves. And if they reject it, chances are they will reject you. And the last one is respect the power of the shifting principle identity and the mirror principle, where when somebody looks at my face, I don't want them to see that I have created somebody bad for them. So for example, if I'm a student, that makes them a teacher. So be skillful in how you create the other person's position in duality. Thanks.